Direct-to-consumer genetic tests are a growing trend, marketed to people's deepest desires and concerns, vanity, companionship. It seems a way of discovering inner secrets. But where do you draw the line, ethically, when it amounts to profiting off of people's fears?
I think the whole trend right now is to try and search for perfect health. The idea that if you just knew a little bit more, how much healthier you would be. And it's not really understood how deceptive that information is.
Personalized medicine, individualized medicine, medicine for me, not for you, me. That's what I want. If there was ever more of a me focus in humanity's history, this is it.
It's only natural to think that if you know more about what's coming, you'll be able to deal with it and tackle it. And unfortunately, it just doesn't work that way.
You have all this information that's being produced. One of the things I'm interested in is, can this information really help people live longer and live healthier?
Most of our DNA, we have no idea what it does. But there are some small parts in our DNA where we really do understand how it works. 2 to 3% of people have a change in their DNA that makes them at risk for an adult onset preventable disorder. So there's a really meaningful opportunity to make preventative genetic information accessible and affordable to more people.
Personalized genetic service providers are popping up all around the world, from North America to Hong Kong. They offer a full spectrum of services, from cancer screening to athletic ability testing.
The interest in genetics, in the genetics of diseases, is really part of what's been called the genetic revolution. We have increasing interest in finding out what we're at risk for, and the idea, I guess, there is so you can do something about it.
Exactly. Basic understanding of disease like cancer is that there are two very important components. One is the inherited, the genetic component. One is the environmental component.
If we can know in advance that there are certain genetic markers that you carry that are associated with certain things, then ideally you can use that information in a proactive way.
You can identify preventable adult onset disorders by looking at your genome. Most people aren't going to have one, but if you do have one, you can now detect it and prevent it ahead of time. And that's a big change.
Meg, you've had genetic testing, is that right?
I decided to get genetic testing because I got a breast cancer diagnosis. My grandmother and sister both got diagnosed as stage 3. So when I got the diagnosis, I wanted more information to find out how I should think about my treatment. I remember the breast surgeon essentially telling me, look, you definitely have the CHEK2 gene. I mean, there's almost zero chance that you wouldn't, and so we should schedule you for a double mastectomy and address this right away. The CHEK2 mutation increases your likelihood of breast cancer by, I think, about 25%. It also increases your likelihood of recurrence even more significantly. So, I mean, that's a lot of information to get.
Wow.
But I decided I want to actually find out for sure if I have this CHEK2 mutation, and that's when I worked with a physician and sent my sample in. Within a week, my breast surgeon called me with the results. The good news in my case is, against all odds, I actually did not have the mutation. So my course of action went from, a scheduled double mastectomy to a lumpectomy, which is just a wholly different situation. But for me personally, in my situation, learning this information saved my breasts. I mean, had I not had access to the information, I absolutely would have had a double mastectomy, because that would have been the right decision based on the information that I had access to.
Is this what you see as the future of genetics, meaningful data that can be used for action, as opposed to some of the frivolous stuff we always hear about in the news?
Well, I certainly hope so. I am a true believer that information is power, and having information to help you make the right choice in support of a physician who's helping you understand the information, I just think it's a no-brainer.
I get the